Hey, Gen Max, if you follow this channel, you're probably familiar with our Palapa roof because we've talked about it many times in the good ways and the bad ways. On the good ways, we have that it is beautiful and it's beautiful. And it's natural, I guess, number two. And it's exotic. Kat says it's exotic. So those are some good things. On the bad side of things, it does leak. It does get holes in it. Sometimes the holes are really cool in terms of when there was the lunar or the solar eclipse. Each one of those holes projected onto the ground a pattern. And I'll actually have a video up in one of these corners about that when that happened. That was really cool. But when it rains, which it doesn't do very often here in Baja California Sur, when it rains inside, it pours, and it poured about a month and a half ago here. Normally we don't get rains in December, but there was a big downpour, lots of flooding, and I'd say probably 24 holes in our roof. And our plan had been to replace it slowly but surely over the years. So like, every year we would replace like a quarter of it or something like that and get through it. And it hasn't been raining much, and we've been getting a little bit lazy in terms of keeping up with it. So we didn't do it last year, and then this year it rained a lot. So we just got finished with replacing part of it. So I'd say another half or so, maybe not quite half, has been done. The contractor was supposed to install, he had a deadline of today. They were supposed to install this section of the roof here, which they have, and this section of the roof here, which they haven't yet started. But I guess the good news is they haven't yet started. So we've got guests coming to town, and we didn't want to have holes in the roof because we've been sleeping out in the casita, which is our little mini house, I guess, the apartment that we typically put guests in. We're going to have to be sleeping back in the house. Kat was definitely afraid of mosquitoes if we had an open roof. So yeah, we are at the point now. It's taken about 3 weeks or so to replace this section. I'd say it's maybe, let's go with 30% of the roof in this time period. And I want to say it was about 30,000 pesos. So that's about $1,700. Lots of labor goes into this and a bunch of natural palm fronds. I don't know where they get these palm fronds. They must have some palm forest somewhere that is just constantly producing palm fronds because these are different. So there's Mexican fan palms actually have two different types, it seems. One that has really sharp barbs on the stem of the palm frond, and one that doesn't. We have both in our yard, and you wouldn't be able to tell the difference between them unless you saw one of the palm fronds up close. But it seems that the one with the spikes is a lot more common than the one without the spikes, and these are the ones without the spikes. But they go through and they come and they from down below, push out all the palm fronds, pull them off the roof, and then come back through, pull out all the nails, and install them from the bottom towards the top, and then kind of weave them in at the edges. So yeah, it's been quite a project. The house has been, kind of a wreck during this. Each day they do clean up at the end of the day, but it's a worker's cleanup. It's not like a cleaner's cleanup. So we've got our cleaners coming this Saturday. So in 2 days, we will have the cleaners here, and they will do a really good job of cleaning up. But we're going to do a little bit better job than the workers did, just because this place is pretty trashed. So I don't want to rely on the cleaners. I want to get it at least to a normal level of dirtiness before we have the cleaners come in and do a spick and span job. So this is just one of those things that's maintenance. If you have a house like this in Mexico, not a lot of people do have Palapa roof houses. I think I know only one other person with a. Most people have concrete roof houses. That's what our casita is. And you just have to go through with maintenance on that. I think it's like every 3 or 4 years you have to reseal the roof. And that seems to work pretty well as long as you stay on top of it. We do have to reseal the part there every few years and reseal where it's connecting to the palm fronds. But that is definitely a maintenance issue. I've also mentioned how often we're repainting the walls and kind of repairing the concrete along the walls because it's just constantly kind of flaking off. And the metal around here has to be painted. The metal on our beach fence has to be painted every year because it starts to rust that quickly. So, you know, it is amazing living down here in a house like this on the beach, but with a house like this on the beach, it definitely leads to a little extra maintenance. And the good news is that labor is pretty inexpensive here compared to the United States. So when you've got something that's labor intensive, like painting or replacing a palm thatch roof, it is pretty reasonable compared to the United States. It's when you get into things like electronics and appliances and things like those tend to be more expensive than in the United States. So if you have any questions about the palm thatch roof, or if you want to see more videos that are these quick little updates like this, please leave a comment down below and let me know how you're feeling. But from La Paz, wish you were here. Hasta luego.